Okay, so whenever people mention Bigfoot, why is it always an attack by Bigfoot? Why isn't he like, hey, do you want to have tea? Can we cuddle? We're just speculating so much about Bigfoot. Like maybe he's like this big, fuzzy, tea drinking, like cuddly creature who just wants to love on people.
What do you do when you come out as LGBTQ and love the outdoors? What do you do when you see the outdoor space ruled by older white cis men and desire a diverse community of outdoor lovers? Accept it, change it, create it. I am Justin Yoder, and this is LGBT Outdoors. Hey friends, welcome to the LGBT Outdoors Podcast. We are excited to have you tuning in again today. We have a Campfire Conversations episode for you. And I have my husband, Patrick Thompson.
Hey, everybody.
And one of our amazing board members, Mallory Shaw, with us today.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Doing all right. I'm ready for this heat to be over. But we can't talk about weather, apparently, because we always talk about weather. So I'm not talking about weather. I'm just commenting on the oppressive
Facts.
And offensive heat in the outdoor space at the moment.
I mean,
yes.
I love it when I walk outside and immediately just start sweating. It's my favorite.
Super attractive.
That puts you in a good mood right away. But hey, we had one day that was 93 today, and that felt amazing. So, or one day this week. So that felt amazing.
Yeah.
It did. It actually felt cool.
I mean, I'm not running for our hoodies yet, but
yeah.
The dog's got
very cool.
a good walk that day. The rest of the time has been like potty breaks.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I can't
funny.
wait for hoodie weather. But
me too.
We are talking about weather again.
Yeah. So
we can't escape it.
We'll move on from weather then. Hey, I got a couple little announcements I want to make before we jump into some of our cool stories for today. So first, we've talked about this before in the past, but I wanted to remind everybody about the LGBT Outdoors Visibility Survey. So for anyone that hasn't heard of the LGBT Outdoor Visibility Survey, it's basically a pretty simple survey that we do to try to collect information about the LGBTQIA plus community in the outdoors, as far as how many of us love the outdoors, how much do we spend on outdoor products, have we ever faced discrimination in the outdoors, that type of thing. And we basically want to use this because there's nothing else out there like it right now that we are aware of. And we want to be able to show big companies that, hey, we do love the outdoors and we want our spot at the outdoor table. So go to LGBT Outdoors and take the survey for us if you can. It would be a great help. And then we have a bunch of events coming up because we've had a lot of new ambassadors come on. I think we're around 35 now.
Woohoo.
We've almost doubled our ambassadors in the last 2 months. So we're going like crazy. So some events we have coming up in the next month or two are in Arizona, Nevada, New Hampshire, Michigan, Washington, Colorado, and Texas. So go to our website and go to events, local chapter events, and see what's going on in your area. Or if you're interested in becoming an ambassador, check out the requirements for that and maybe apply to be an ambassador in your area. To go along with it, in Texas, we have LGBT Outdoor Fest 2023. We have been drilling this in, everyone, because we don't want you to feel like you've missed out and be like, oh, I wish I knew about that. So it is going to be September 22nd through the 24th at Rainbow Ranch in Groesbeck, Texas. Late registration starts September 7th. So if you want the best pricing, head over to our website, which is lgbtoutdoors.com/outdoorfest and get signed up and find out about it, and all the details are there. So
It's also
with that out of the way,
awesome and fun. If you've never been, you should come.
Totally.
Definitely should come. I think we have people from like 9 states coming so far.
I love that.
Something like that. It's pretty amazing. So I'm excited. But yeah, we've got 3 great Campfire Conversation stories for everyone today. If you have a Campfire Conversation story, which can be anything from being attacked by Bigfoot, which I'm still waiting for a Bigfoot story, a UFO sighting, you have a life and death experience, or you just have an incredible outdoor inspirational story, anything that is outdoor related that you would like to share with our listeners, email it to us at info@lgbtoutdoors.com, and you might be listening to it on our podcast.
Okay, so whenever people mention Bigfoot, why is it always an attack by Bigfoot? Why isn't he like, hey, do you want to have tea? Can we cuddle?
Well,
like,
it's not always he's being attacked. Last time, I think he was having a pride flag, if I remember right, when we were talking about him.
Okay.
Right?
We're just speculating so much about Bigfoot. Like maybe he's like this big, fuzzy, tea drinking, like cuddly creature who just wants to love on people.
But he's too afraid to come forward because he's embarrassed about how big his feet are.
Yes.
Well, maybe, but we as a society have created such an environment where he feels foot shamed.
Exactly.
Okay, so
that's also not okay.
If Bigfoot happens to be listening, come out for some tea
and maybe
or
a
s'mores. You can have the cuddles, Patrick. I don't know that I'm going to be down for cuddling with Bigfoot.
S'mores with Bigfoot?
That sounds...
Can we do that at Outdoor Fest next time?
Maybe. If anybody has the contact information for Bigfoot, please let us know. All right. As we start to lose listeners, maybe we should jump on to a story. Mallory, do you want to kick us off with our first Campfire Conversation story?
I would absolutely love to. Okay, so this story is from Robin. Is this Robin, one of our ambassadors, Robin? Okay,
yes,
awesome.
From Waco.
Yes, I love. Oh, I knew that. It said from Waco. I could have put that together. Well, hi, Robin. All right, we'll dive in. My campfire story is a recent experience I had. Every April, I make a trip from Waco to Lake Mineral Wells State Park for a backpacking trip. I usually go solo, but sometimes I'll bring a friend. This year was a solo trip, and I'm glad for it. Mainly because this year has been stressful. My anxiety has been ramping up because of a lot of things I have or have planned for 2023. A solo trip would give me the time to think and relax by myself. I headed out on the road trip after having a dentist appointment. Nothing major there. I arrived at Lake Mineral Wells State Park about noon. I checked in like normal and then drove to the trailhead. The idea was to hike for the day before heading to the primitive camping site for the evening. Lake Mineral Wells State Park has trails that make several figure-8 loops. I noticed on the map that there was one trail that didn't look familiar to me, so I wanted to make sure that I did hit that part. I've been hiking quite a bit back home with a heavy pack to get me ready for the shakedown trip. I parked at the trailhead, but only saw a few other vehicles. No big deal there. I grabbed my pack, strapped it on, and hit begin on Strava. The primitive trail is a little technical at first. It is very rocky and has some ups and downs in elevation, but the views are fantastic. I hiked for a bit and never saw anyone else. It was nice. I did spot a quail on the side of the road. This was the first quail I've seen in the wild in a few decades. I finally passed a man with his dog on the trail. We both stopped and chatted for a few minutes. He warned me about a rattlesnake he saw up the trail, and I warned him about the quail. That was cute.
You got to watch out for those quail.
It's dangerous. I have to admit, I was excited about seeing a rattlesnake. I have a coworker that believes that rattlesnakes don't exist since he has never seen one in the wild before. I was hoping to see one so I could get some photo evidence that he wouldn't immediately discredit. Sadly, I did not see the snake or any other snake on that trip. I kept hiking along, hitting trail after trail after trail. Around 5 p.m., I started towards the primitive camping site. I got there and discovered that I was all alone. Good, that's what I wanted, but it was not meant to be. After making camp and exploring for a bit, I heard voices not far away. It sounded like a young couple. I finished setting up my campsite and decided to go explore the area to see what had changed since last year. I stumbled across the other people's campsite. They had placed their tent in the middle of the trail. not to the side or in the alcove, but right in the middle of the trail. Lovely. Yeah. I didn't see.
It would just be funny. Wait, I'm just picturing this in my head. It would be really funny if like there was a front door and a back door, and like Robin just hikes along and goes right in the front door and then right out the back through their tent. That would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see anyone, but movement inside the tent caught my eye. 2 people were inside laughing and rolling about. I figured this would not be a good time to say hello, so I headed back to my area.
Rolling about.
What is happening in this tent? Besides, I was getting hungry and it was supper time. The meal I cooked was good. It was one of those vegan camping meals that I've had before. It was starting to get dark out, so I got ready for bed. I kept hearing voices, but I soon drifted off into dreams and sleep. I woke up the next morning about sunrise. I loitered around my site for a bit, trying to decide if I wanted to cook breakfast this morning or wait. I really didn't feel like exploring any other spot around the park. I know the climbing area pretty well, and I didn't bring my climbing gear since I was alone. My course of action was to break camp, hike back to the trailhead, and hit a Starbucks on the way home. I slung my pack on my back and started down the trail. I knew from last night that I would have to go by the other people's campsite. I was hoping they might still be asleep and I could sneak by without making a noise. Little did I know how wrong that plan would be. I came up on their site and first saw a boy of about 10 years of age. I said hello, then saw the other person. Sitting in depression on the ground was a man in his 40s squatting. We made eye contact and I noticed for the first time that he was completely naked. What is happening?
Okay.
Yeah. I said hello and went into a faster pace to get out of there. Okay. The rest of the hike, I didn't encounter anyone and I was grateful. I saw a few deer and turkey prints, but that was about it. I safely made it to my pickup and decided to cook breakfast there instead. The peach cobbler breakfast wasn't that good. I was only able to take a couple of bites before tossing it in the dumpster. Womp womp. No, I drove to the ranger station to check it out. They asked me how my trip was. I said it was a great trip, except for the naked man on the trail. All eyes were suddenly on me as they expected me to go into detail. This I was not going to do. I told him see y'all next April and left. I did get my Starbucks.
No details. It's just a naked guy out on your trails.
Right? Like, I want to know more.
Right.
But she did get her Starbucks, so all was not lost. I'm so happy they have one now in Mineral Wells and headed home. All in all, it was a relaxing trip. I got the peace and quiet I needed and then some. A lot of the stressful events I had planned for this year have already happened as I've typed this. I look forward to next year's camping trip. I don't know if it will be a solo one or not, but either way, I can't wait.
Awesome.
I have questions.
I feel like that's the...
I have questions.
I have questions.
I think everyone has questions. Robin!
I feel like that's the second time she's written in about mineral wells. And I'm really curious because it can't be that far away from us in North Texas, right?
Yeah, I think it's about an hour and a half west of DFW.
Okay, that's not bad. I don't know. Like, she seems to like it enough to come annually. I'm not a big fan, obviously, of the presence of rattlesnakes or anything snake related. I know that they're valuable members of the environmental ecosystem, and I want to love and appreciate them from great distances.
I think you can do that.
I just have a question. Was everybody clothed in her last story that she wrote?
As far as we know.
Okay. I just was wondering if this was a theme at Lake Mineral Wells or if this is a one-time occurrence.
It's a nudist colony that she is actually going to. No, it's funny though, because that's the second story I heard a podcast last week. I think, of course, with me, I think it was National Park After Dark, of a couple running into a naked guy on a trail. So maybe some people just like to hike naked.
Okay.
Okay. And like, can we talk about that for a second? Like,
hiking naked?
Or just outdoor non-sexual nudity? Like, okay, so I know that this is an audio-based media, but Mallory's face just like winced when I said that. I'm guessing that makes you uncomfortable, and she's kind of nodding and raising her hand.
No, I was contemplating telling a story.
Well, now that you've broached the topic.
So, whenever I used to live in Longview, we had a couple ponds, and I would go fishing on the ponds. And there was a few times I was like, hey, I want to go fishing. And I would go out there by myself, and everything was covered. It was completely separate from roads and everything like that. And my tan lines were really funky. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm out here all by myself going fishing. I'm out here for hours. I'm just going to take my clothes off so I can even out my tan lines while I'm going fishing. I thought it was genius until I caught a fish. And then I was a total girl about like the fish like touching my body as it was flailing around. And I immediately regretted, doing this.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because of like mosquitoes or chiggers or something.
No, I was on a dock. Like I felt good about it. Until the fish like slapped my side, and I was like, "Okay, no."
That's when you realize how naked you are. No, like just my own personal Patrick opinion, not necessarily representative of LGBT Outdoors or its associates.
No. Where are we going?
I think that there is a place for like ethical, non-sexual, non-invasive nudity in nature, so long as you're being considerate of others or the potential of others around you. I think nudity is so frequently wrapped up in like that it has to be sexually oriented, that it kind of gets a bad rap. But yeah, like you're walking down a hike or a hiking trail and you see somebody without any clothes on, like
with a 10-year-old boy.
Sure. And that could have been like a father-son thing. Like, we don't know the full story.
This is true.
But, I think that there's an ethical space for it.
I also want to just pause for a minute and Google ethical nudity to see exactly what that entails.
Now you've got me really curious.
Oh no, he's actually doing it, y'all.
Oh
no. Oh no. What did we open up?
There's a whole lot of reading. I'm not finding a quick distilled down sort of discussion of the ethos of ethical nudity.
That's probably a good thing. We probably can let all our listeners Google ethical nudity on their own.
No, but is this not like a fair conversation? It's regarding the outdoors and human beings who, at some point.
And Mallory go fishing and hiking naked. If you want, I prefer to have my clothes on in the wild. But hey, to each their own.
I have learned that so do I. After that was a one-time occurrence
because of fish.
Yeah, it was slimy.
But Justin, to recap what you just said, to each his own, or to each her own, or to each their own. That's kind of what I was getting at. Is unless you're doing something shady or deliberately provocative, like I personally don't see any harm in being a responsible, ethical nudist. And there we go. Okay, so I guess this is my story.
Have either one of y'all ever been to a nude beach?
Yes.
Okay, I have as well, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Awesome.
I think that there are places for it. And if that's something that you want to do, I feel like, yeah, you just have to be respectful of others. Of like, cool, I'm not going to put you in a situation that you have to see me naked. So I'm going to do it where you can't see me, but I will be outside. I get that.
Right. And it's sun, it's nature, and you just relax. There's a time and a place for it.
Yeah.
Winnebago Industries is a leading U.S. manufacturer of outdoor lifestyle products. Their goal is to help their customer from glamping enthusiasts to off-road explorers embrace the outdoors through one of their recreational vehicles, powerboats, or pontoons. Winnebago Industries is proud to partner with leading industry and outdoor-oriented organizations such as us, LGBT Outdoors, who share in their desire to enable extraordinary mobile experiences for everyone. Together, we can all be great outdoors. Take your indoors outdoors with Spacious Skies Campgrounds, a collection of 15 campgrounds and RV parks spanning the eastern United States. Each location is unique, but all offer the perfect escape to the great outdoors if you're looking to spend quality time with your friends and family or simply need a scenic home base for your nearby adventures. Choose from RV sites, cabins, yurts, retro RV rentals, or tent sites, and enjoy on-site amenities that offer convenience, creature comforts, and fun. Visit spaciousskiescampgrounds.com for more information and easy online booking. We welcome and invite all campers to camp on with Spacious Skies Campgrounds. All right, so Patrick, you have a story.
Yes, I do. This one comes to us from Lucas, titled What Not to Do in Yellowstone. Rule number 1, stay on the trail / boardwalk. Rule number 2, don't get too close to wildlife or feed them. Animals that consume human food end up with a sad ending. Rule number 3. Okay, this is reminding me, if y'all have seen the Disney film Aladdin, where the genie is like doling out the rules that you can and cannot do with wishes, that's sort of what this reminds me of. But also, I'm a dork. Rule number 3, always assume that any water source is almost at a boiling point. For this story, it deals with rule number 3. So we are out at these hot springs on the border of the Tetons and Yellowstone. We've been to these hot springs half a dozen times, as these are more for the locals, hidden, and you have to cross a river to even get to them by a river. And I actually mean a river with some small rapids. However, they were right next to this lush but desolate field that had these tiny streams coming from these floating islands. The best person to have with you in Yellowstone is someone who has lived there for a few seasons and can show you the lay of the land. They just might save your life. But we didn't have a person for us for this new adventure regarding floating islands. Yikes. So here I am with my friend Bob, not his real name. We carefully walked up and tested the water only to find that it was lukewarm. Perfect. The islands themselves were about 10 feet in diameter. We decided to step into the vegetation only to realize we started to sink. Stand on them long enough and you drop through into a tube of water. The island vegetation immediately covers you up like you were never there. Freaky, right?
I just pictured this like a cartoon.
Yeah, or like in a lake quicksand, rivers quicksand or something.
Yeah. It's like, boom, gone. He goes on to say, after doing this once or twice, we decided we no longer wanted to chance our luck as we couldn't touch the bottom, nor did we want to. And that was it. Story closed. Never doing that again. Again, one of the things I wish I hadn't done, but I live to tell the tale. The moral of the story, remember the rules and don't wander too far into the unknown. # how stupid people die.
Well, Lucas, I'm glad you didn't die.
Glad you were here to tell your story.
Yeah, and I want to circle back to one particular phrase that jumped out at me. He's talking about standing on the vegetation and sinking. And he says, after doing this once or twice, we decided we no longer... And I'm like, okay, so we experimented with this a couple times before deciding, no, this isn't for me. You just had to be sure.
I feel like I do feel like there's some things that are worth trying a time or two again, just being sure, like if you get like charged by a bison in Yellowstone because you're an idiot and you get thrown up into the air and end up in the hospital, that's probably a one and done, let's not do that again. It should do that in the first place, but
some people
but some things it's like, that was interesting. Was that good or bad? I'm not sure. Let's give it one more shot.
It sounded kind of fun. Like, it reminded me of like a video game or something. Like
yeah.
How long can I stand on this before I get completely under? Like, I don't know. I do it.
Oh, Mallory is fun to take to national parks.
Makes mental note. If you're unsure about the footing of something, call Mallory over. She'll test it out for you.
Yeah. Hey, Mallory, come check this out. See if this is safe.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. We're all special right now.
We love you.
So, and this is obviously not to shame Lucas. Lucas sent in a handful of stories, and we're grateful. And he's a good friend of LGBT Outdoors. But it's just a friendly, gentle reminder that there are surprising dangers out there in nature. Fortunately, he was with somebody, but it's always good to have your wits about you, especially around water, even more so if you can't see too deep. So just be smart, follow the posted rules, follow your gut instinct. Like, maybe I shouldn't do that. And if you ignore those rules and you survive, feel free to send that story to us at info@lgbtoutdoors.com for one of our Campfire Conversations.
Yes. All right. Well, I've got the last one, and this is kind of a combination of like a Campfire Conversation / email, because it was just generally sent to us as an email, but would make a great Campfire Conversation. And I got permission from this person to be able to read this because this person is not out. So we are going to respect their privacy. And again, got their permission to be able to share this because I just feel like there could be a lot of people that are listening that can relate to this. And so I'm going to dive in and read this one.
Cool.
Hey there. I just wanted to take a minute and thank you all so much for your podcast. I hadn't heard of the nonprofit before. I think a year or two ago, I heard an REI podcast with Micah Meyer on it, and apparently I followed him on social media. I never really saw anything of him until recently when he posted about being on your podcast. I travel a good bit for work, and I love a good podcast, so I added y'all to my list, and I'm so glad I did. I have listened to a few times of each of the episodes. I honestly love them all. They're so great, just positive, uplifting, and encouraging, and funny and motivating. You have a bit of everything. I love hearing fun, awesome, amazing stories that are super inspiring. I also really appreciate hearing those little bits into each of your guests and yourselves' personal stories. I love it when I hear you or your guests say that you grew up in a conservative, religious, or strict family. I've never felt so seen. I just assumed I was alone. It was so validating. I have grown up hating myself. I haven't had much self-confidence at any point in my life. I built up walls around me as a kid, walls I thought I needed to protect myself. I hated attention, even positive attention. I became super good at deflecting attention. I was super involved in church, and at church, I was super close to my family. I was so good at being a chameleon. I just trying to blend in wherever I was and not trying to be noticed. Even now as an adult, I have my work friends who don't know very much about my family or my church. Honestly, I didn't even know I was doing it. It was second nature to me. A decent coworker called me out on it, and that's when I realized how I kept myself so isolated. My family doesn't know much about my work. My church people don't know much about me outside of church. I let people see glimpses of me, but I don't let many people actually get to know me. I haven't found my people yet. The people that I can just be myself around. I struggle to feel like I belong. I realize that's more on me than the people around me. Growing up, I was the chubby, pasty white, poor kid. Let's be honest. As an adult, I am still socially awkward, chubby, pasty white, poor guy. My dad grew up in the West and spent his childhood summers going around Jackson Hole, the Tetons, and Yellowstone. He wanted to do the same with our family, so when my older brothers were young, he tried to make the same vacations a tradition with our family, but eventually his job took our family to Texas. It was hot and humid and new to him and my mom, and while he tried to keep up with those camping trips and stuff, by the time I grew up, a lot of those trips had stopped. He really liked water, so when we first moved to Texas, he got a canoe, and Saturday mornings, our family, all 7 of us, would pile into the canoe while he paddled around different bayous. I hated it because the parks where we put in were also in the news occasionally for alligator attacking dogs in the parks, and I was sure I was going to tip over and be eaten by the gators. My family is very religious, and the church we went to is heavily involved in the Boy Scouts of America, so I have had a lot of camping trips when I was between 8 years old and 15. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either, just because I didn't have a lot of friends in the programs with me. There was a group of kids older than me and a smaller group younger than me, but no one that I really became friends with. But it was a family requirement that we stayed in the Boy Scouts until we earned our Eagle Scout. I even got to go on a 10-day backpacking trip through the mountains, Philmont in New Mexico. I wish I could go back and do that again because at the time I hated it, but really I'm sure it was an amazing trip. I just did not appreciate the outdoors at that time. I've always sort of been a disappointment to my family. I'm not married, I have no kids, I don't have a huge salary, I am too old to be this lost in life. Don't get me wrong, my family loves me and I love them. Not much change until about 18 months ago, I got a new position at work. I now travel around a lot, like a whole lot. I go to maybe 2 or 3 states a week on a normal week. I love all the traveling. The job is a good match for me. I love getting to see new things. Right after I started this new job, one of my brothers gave me a pair of running shoes and an REI membership for Christmas. This put a little bug in me to start getting more active outside. One of my first work trips was to Alaska. I was going to be there for less than 24 hours, but I just knew this might be my only chance to be in Alaska, and I wanted to take advantage of it. So after my plan landed around midnight, I looked around online for a hike in the mountains around Anchorage. I went into my hotel and slept for a bit, and by 4 a.m., I was awake and walking on some random trail. It was so amazing. I was so dumb. I just walked up it, not thinking about anything, and just trying to get to the top quickly so I could get back down quickly so that I could make it back to my meeting on time and still catch my plane back to Texas. I didn't have enough water and nothing to eat. As I was on my way down, I heard some bells tinkling and eventually crossed paths with 2 local hikers who wanted to chat. I saw that they had bells on their dog collars and on their backpacks, and I thought that was strange. They were super nice and started up a conversation with me. They asked if I saw any bears in my hike. In my mind, I just froze for like a solid 5 minutes trying to process wild bears in Alaska. I didn't even think of bears. In reality, it was probably just 10-second pause till I responded, while I looked like a moron, I said no. They just let me know they had heard that yesterday bears were sighted around the trail. Eventually, I found out about the All Trails app, and now I have made it my goal to try to find little hikes when I have a downtime wherever I go for work. It's never big hikes, just a couple 3 to 5 miles here or there whenever I have free time that I can squeeze it in. It's been so much fun. I have been able to see the mountains, the prairies, the woodlands, the swamps, the hills in many states, places I've never seen before. I still don't have much self-confidence, but I do have a start. I'm discovering more about myself, what I like, and who I am. And the podcast helps me to do that. I guess I forgot to mention it previously, but I'm still in the closet. I'm not sure when or if I will change. I have a lot of internalized homophobia. I'm not blaming anyone. I think my parents and family honestly did and still do the best they know how to do. I'm just a bit emotionally fragile and absorb it all in. But thanks to people like you and your podcast, I am peeling back some of the layers, learning to think for myself and trying to learn to love people and see the good in people. From your podcast, I get to meet people and in a way be around people that I would never get a chance to meet in real life. Their stories and lives have been amazing. I'm so thankful to have run across your podcast. I hope you continue it for a very long time. Sincerely, Stuck in My Closet.
Wow.
I just want to give Stuck in My Closet a big old hug.
Right? I do too. And when this person first sent me the email, we shot a couple emails back and forth, and I wanted to let them know that they're always welcome on our events, and anything that we can do for this person, we would love to.
Absolutely.
But, there's a lot in there that I can see of myself from the past, but I also feel like there's a lot of people that might be listening that are just like this person, that are stuck in a closet and don't feel like they could ever come out. And we've had people that haven't been out come on some of our events before, which is really amazing. But I think ultimately we just want everybody to know that you're welcome with our organization and our LGBT Outdoors family. And it can get better. Like if you're someone that is listening and you're just, kind of like this person, not sure where to turn or feeling down, maybe depressed, having a hard time, like know that there are people that want to help you out. And we're some of those people. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. And for Stuck in My Closet, we hope one day that we can see you on one of our events as well. We would all love to be able to meet you in person. And like Mallory said, give you a big hug.
Heck yeah. I'm going to rephrase what Justin just said. Like he said that you're welcome. I say you're wanted.
Oh my God. I literally said the same exact thing in my head. Literally the same exact thing.
Yay.
That's so funny. That's awesome.
And through LGBT Outdoors, like I have met some of the like coolest, just most diverse, strange, wonky, like amazing, beautiful, awesome humans. We're kind of like the Isle of Misfit Toys, where like you would never like put any of us together. But when we are all together in all of our like weirdness and quirkiness and normalcy and humanity, like it is so freaking beautiful. And so that's why I want to tell people you are wanted to be like a part of this, even if you can't physically be there.
Yeah.
We want you to feel seen and heard. And I know that this might sound totally like weird and cliche coming from some dude on a podcast who you've never met. But like, I genuinely mean that. Like, we're using the outdoors as a vehicle for community and growth, both internally and like externally, because nature is like this amazing sort of catalyst to help you develop and grow. Man, what an amazing message. And I'm so glad that you reached out. I'm so glad that you are taking steps toward like doing something, to help yourself grow, even if it's just little 30-minute hikes wherever you go, which I'm extremely jealous of, by the way. Alaska, are you kidding me? That's right? Awesome. So for anybody who's out there listening who's felt lost or stuck, man, you are not alone. I promise you that. And like, I genuinely mean that. Sorry, I think I got a little preachy there for a sec, but I was feeling it.
No, I loved it. I kind of wanted to touch on it as well. Lost in Your Closet said something along the lines of being too old to feel this lost. And oh my gosh, I feel like everybody can relate to that. We all feel like we need to be at a certain spot in life, no matter how old we are, where we are,
Preach.
And that is something that I just hope that, every single person feels. Every person feels that way. And if you are feeling lost, whatever age you're at, where you are, location wise, like LGBT Outdoors is here for you. It's such an awesome community. And I love so much that you have found some sort of an outlet to really learn more about yourself and become closer to yourself. It sounds like you have these compartments of your life, and hopefully one day, all that will be able to just flow. But until then, we are here for you. We would love to see you at an event and be your friend.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned that, Mallory, bringing up the age thing, because I'm going to plug a past episode, the episode with Grandma Joy. If you're feeling like age is something that is affecting you and you can't do something, or you wish you were further along, go back and listen to the episode with Grandma Joy in it. Because what was she, Patrick? She was like 80, in her 80s, the first time she saw a mountain.
Yeah, something like that.
And now she's been to all of the national parks, and with her and her grandson, Brad, they have been on any and every news interview, TV show that you can think of, including just on Extra with Mario Lopez. And they just got back from Kenya, and she is, I think, 93 now. And so she might have got a late start, but if she can do it, anybody can do it. So if you can be in your 90s traveling to Kenya, like, don't limit what you can do. Don't focus on the past. Focus on the future and creating the future that you want for yourself.
And along those lines, like, my life is my life. And it took a while for me to shed the expectations of other people. Like when I grew up in not like a staunchly conservative Christian household, but like a very faith-based Christian household. Like, we went to church and everything. When I came out, we went to a counselor who, like, tried to fix me. And I promise one day I'm going to tell that story, because like it's, but looking back, my parents were doing what they believed was in my best interest. Like, they weren't doing it to be cruel or mean or not. The fact that they wanted to get me fixed at the time, I now understand, was an act of love. They have outgrown that. I have outgrown that. They love Justin as their own son. And like, I got the happy ending that so many people don't. But before all of that happened, like, it took some work on my end to understand, like, hey, your parents want what's best for you, but like, you are not their life, or your life doesn't belong to them. And I'm grateful to have had that sort of growth, because that was sort of the spark that got me to the point of being able to stand up for myself, which was hard in that situation. Instead of like backing down, it just gets really messy. Long story short, too late. Your life is your own, and you can make of it what you want, and it's never too late. I think it is part of the human condition to wish we were further along, or to have a nicer car, or have a bigger house, or whatnot by such and such age. And that's all crap. I mean, it's real, but it's nonsense. Like, there's nothing that's based in reality about that. And again, this is total, like, might be completely pointless coming from some random dude on a podcast. I'm just kind of throwing some thoughts out there, in hopes that somebody might connect with them, or at least kind of spur some thoughts that might get you headed in the right direction. Crickets, crickets, crickets.
Love it.
I was like, do I add? Do I not? Do I leave it? I'll just say this. I think something really important to think about with that whole conversation from you, Patrick, is the first thing in identifying that you're not living for other people, whether it's your parents or whoever it may be, is identifying your own goals. I think that's one of the first steps, is like, hey, do these align with what I have in my brain for what success means to my parents? What are mine, though?
Yeah.
Are they just, or am I just going through this because I think that's what they want? Or what do I, just asking yourself that question. And sometimes one of the scariest and coolest answers is, I don't know, because I've always just thought about what they thought about. And so that's like super scary because the world is your oyster,
Right.
which is also like too many choices, but then it allows you to go down those paths and figure it out for yourself. And I feel like that's true happiness.
That's a great question to ask yourself, because it's a very difficult mindset to shake. I grew up, and I am very, very fortunate to be close with my parents. And I grew up and I was close with my parents. While never completely disregarding their opinions, it's very challenging to shake that, oh, well, what would mom and dad think? A sort of mentality. But I like your question of asking, well, what about me? What are my goals? What am I looking for? What am I wanting? And I think that starts a whole new internal conversation that can lead somewhere pretty cool.
Plus, I feel like if you identify those first, then you'll actually feel successful once you start going towards that route. Because you're never going to feel successful if you're always living for your parents.
True.
But if you can identify what you want, start down that path and then start to check some of those off. And it might not be a house. It could be, hey, I want to be able to hike this far. I want to be able to make friends in my community. I want, whatever. It could be small, tiny things or huge things, but they're yours.
Absolutely. And while we're sitting here hypothesizing how to fix all the world's struggles, well, also genuinely want to point out that you're still wanted wherever you're coming from, wherever you're at the moment. If you've been stuck there, if you intend to stay stuck there, if you intend to be somewhere else, whatever, wherever you're at, whoever you are, like, come on with it.
Yeah. Love that. I think that is like the perfect spot to wrap up this episode. Mm-hmm. You are wanted.
Absolutely.
We want you.
That's for sure. We want you. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Patrick and Mallory, thanks for joining and helping host this episode of the Campfire Conversations. If you, again, have a campfire conversation you would like to share with us, email it to us at info@lgbtoutdoors.com. Also, we do have a Patreon. If you love what we're doing and would like to help us continue our mission and supporting this podcast and the work of LGBT Outdoors, head over to patreon.com/LGBT Outdoors. There's some cool perks that you can get over there. There was one other thing I was going to mention.
If you're Bigfoot and you want to cuddle,
contact
email
Patrick.
Me, Patrick at LGBT Outdoors.
We could get you some black shoes, make your feet look a little smaller. Maybe you feel more comfortable coming in.
Yeah.
Bigfoot, you are wanted.
You are.
Wherever you are.
Okay. All right. I don't know if Bigfoot is listening or not, but we're wrapping up. Last thing. Be sure to rate and review our podcast wherever you listen. It really helps us out. It's a simple, free thing you can do that helps boost our podcast in the podcast algorithm and does a lot of good so other people can find us. All right, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, get out there. Thank you again for joining us this week. If you have a Campfire Conversation story you would like to share, please email it to us at info@lgbtoutdoors.com. Follow us on Instagram at LGBT Outdoors and join the community at facebook.com/groups/LGBT Outdoors. Become a partner by joining our Patreon, where you'll gain access to monthly bonus stories and exclusive content. For more information on today's episode, check out the show notes. For information about LGBT Outdoors, LGBT Outdoor Fest, local chapters, or to sign up for our newsletter, visit lgbtoutdoors.com. And if you're enjoying the show, please rate, review, and follow wherever you listen to podcasts.